What's the deal, YouTube? This is your boy Game27, and once again, I want to thank you for joining my channel. And today, I want to talk about remasters. And yes, of course, this generation is filled, I mean freaking filled with remasters, out on top of remasters and on top of remasters. And of course, let's don't forget these game-breaking glitches that we are getting a lot. And that kind of explains why a lot of these games are getting delayed, because a lot of these these developers, they just feel that they just don't want to bring these games out, before it's ready. And honestly, it's not the developers' fault, it's the publisher's fault. People like Ubisoft, EA, Activision, it's their fault, because they are the one that's pushing them, and knowing that the game ain't finished and they still want to get it out there so they could just continuously and butt rape a lot of these consumers. And it sucks that these consumers still fall for it, and it sucks. Like I said, man, it's just the one thing that really bothers me, that this gaming industry is booming. It hadn't made this much money in forever. This is the first time this gaming industry has made, I forgot the statistics, but in today's gaming industry, they made a lot more than what they made 10, 20 years ago. And what I'm seeing now is a lot of people getting ripped off, with these half completed games, with these of course we get day one DLC. It really boggles my mind that we are getting announcements of these season passes months prior to launches of these games. Like, stuff like that tells me that, okay, if we gonna be paying 30, 40, or even $50 for a season pass, and the game's not even out yet, just think of how much content did they actually take out the original game, which we supposed to pay $60 for. That is downright pathetic. And another thing that's downright pathetic, but a lot of people will argue with me, and it's an argument both ways, because a lot of people hadn't owned a PS3 last generation and they own a PS4, and you could tell because the PS4 is selling like the PS2. It's selling really fast. It's selling like hotcakes, and I'm pretty sure the people that own the Wii or the 360 last generation are now jumping on the PS4 bandwagon. And I guess a lot of them are supporting the remasters because they just hadn't touched it yet. They hadn't played the Uncharted series. They hadn't played God of Wars, or even The Last of Us. And speaking of The Last of Us, about the PS4 getting the remastered, like, it sucks. And that tells you right there, it's a quick cash grab. And of course, if you watched my video yesterday about Sony is re-releasing the this DLC Left Behind. I think that's the name of it, Left Behind DLC pack, a standalone pack. You don't even have to buy the game. You can buy it separately for $10. And I don't know how many times they're gonna have to. I don't know how many times they're going to keep messing with Last of Us. They need to let it go and move on to the next game, because it's just I'm getting really irritated on these announcements with this Last of Us. It's been out for a while, and they just don't want to let it go. Yes, we know that it is a fantastic game. I hadn't played it yet, but I saw gameplay of it and I really digging it. I want to play it so bad, but stuff like that, these companies just don't want to let it go. They need to go to the next game so we get a brand new experience, and stop using them old games, trying to keep getting these, trying to make this little quick cash grabs. But the thing that really pisses me off, that these consumers still gonna pay for it. They had already played the game, and they gonna still continuously and pay for it, and continuously and get butt raped. I'm just being honest. And with these remasters, my opinion about these remasters, man, it has to be at least 10 years or older for remasters. Like The Last of Us remaster, that's not no remaster. All they did was put a little bit of resolution, skin on it, whatever, and jumped it from I forgot if it was 720p or 900p last generation on the PS3, but it is 1080p, 60 frames per second. So which that's great. That's great if you have all your games at 1080p, 60 frames per second. But they slapped a $60 price tag on that game. That really pisses me off. A lot of people already had paid for that game that had a PS3, and now they going to have them pay the full price I mean, the full price again of the game. But then again, it's the consumer's fault for still keep continuously and supporting that shit. And you know, of course, they announced the Game of the Year edition for the PS3. Like, it doesn't surprise me at all. But you know, like I say, my honest opinion about remasters is that, okay, like games back in the 90s and early 2000s, I consider that as a remaster. I'm just being honest. Like, we are starving. I mean, a lot of y'all gamers, y'all going to agree with me, especially if you are a Sega fan. We are freaking starving for a Shenmue reboot. We want a Shenmue remaster so freaking badly. I'm so serious that I swear to God, if we get a Shenmue remaster, oh my God, I swear this community would be so freaking hype about this game, because around that time, that game was the shit. I was being honest, and I would replay it again, you know, because around, like I said, around that time, the graphics was already beautiful and everything. I liked it, you know, around that, you know, during that generation. But you know, let's go 2 generations over, you know, and like I say, if they build that game from the ground up, that would sell. I mean, it would sell millions on top of millions. I'm being honest. You know, let's let's bring the beat 'em up genres back. Let's get Streets of Rage. Like, that's one of the best you know, beat 'em up games I've ever in my life played. You know, and you know, games like Streets of Rage and Final Fights and Golden Axes and Brawl Brothers and Double Dragons. I swear to God, if we could get those games back, remaster them bad boys, build it from the ground up, I swear people would run to it and buy it, because I swear it was the shit back then. And I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all gamers that's my age or a little older, you know, if you in your mid to late 20s or early to you know, mid 30s, you know exactly what I mean. But a lot of y'all younger gamers, it's like y'all 18 to 20 or 21 to 22. You know, of course, y'all missed those type of games because y'all was basically in diapers around that time. You know, but you know, what I consider a remaster, like games like at least over 10 years old. You know, with Nintendo for example, like they consider a lot of these remasters on the DS. That's not a remaster. Like, okay, they remastered the Majora's Mask and the Ocarina of Time. Why not remaster that bad boy on the Wii U so we can get a full experience of a remastered? You know, I would love to play that remaster, you know, a remastered Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on the Wii U, because when Nintendo, I'm just being honest, when Nintendo makes their games, they make it, they put their foots into it. They put their foots in the game, and I enjoy a lot of their games. You know, I really love Nintendo's games. I'm just being honest. I'm not a big fan of all of them, but you know, Legend of Zelda, Mario, Metroid, you know, even little Star Fox. I'm probably not a huge fan of Star Fox as I am with Zelda, but those 4 franchises I really like. I'm just being honest. And you know, I'm just getting sick and tired of the DS getting all this remastered treatments and getting all this support and everything. With the Wii U, they don't get very much support, you know. But you know, I'm just saying, like, basically, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all would love a Mega Man X2, you know, 3 remastered. That game was the shit. I've been playing that a lot on my eShop. It's a very fun game. I swear to God, you know, these you know, just it seems like a lot of these remasters are games from the FPS genres, these shooters. It's these damn shooters getting all these damn remasters. Why we just can't get a whole bunch of remasters from the beat 'em up genres or from the survival horror genres? I know the Resident Evil got a remaster, but why not Resident Evil 2 and 4? You know, Resident Evil 2 and 4 is the mainstream audience. You know, it's their best all-time Resident Evil games, you know, ever. I'm just being honest, because every time I hear the discussion of which Resident Evil game is the best, majority of the people say 2 and 4, and I agree with them because I really love those games. And around that time, you know, Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica, you know, those was the shit. Until they kind of changed the game aspects a little bit to Resident Evil 4, but I still loved it. It had a little action of adventure, you know, genre to it, but it still had the survival horror to it. But after the Resident Evil 4, you know, went to 5 and 6, that when they went a complete different direction. I I still play those, but I didn't enjoy those games as much as I enjoyed Resident Evil 4, 3, 2, and 1. Even Resident Evil 0. I'm just being honest. But, you know, while we won't get remasters from Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, Code Veronica's, you know, get remasters from the Silent Hill franchises, you know, those are remasters. You know, I'm being honest. Those are the type of games that you want to build from the ground up and remaster those bad boys, because I'm really dying for those remasters. I'm being honest. You know, like I don't even consider these games remasters these days. I consider them as rehashes. It's a rehash. All they're doing is putting a little fresh paint on it, and you know, probably bump it to maybe 1080p. You know, probably 60 frames per second, but actually, you know, built from the ground up. It's not a remaster because it's not built from the ground up. It looks completely the same. I'm just being honest. I don't see much of a difference from The Last of Us from the PS3 version, you know, from the PS4 version. Yes, the PS4 version is a little bit better as far as the gameplay, like the frames, the frames per second and the resolution. But if you're talking about, if you want to go by that wow factor on the graphical terms, like, it doesn't wow me. You know, you could barely tell a little difference, but I still don't see it as a true remaster. But anyway, guys, you know, I just want to just give my intake on remastered games, and you know, these remasters these days, you know, people still think they are actually remastered. No, that's not a true remaster. Remastered game is from the ground up. That's how I see a true remastered game, and I'm still looking for them. All it is just a rehash, and a lot of people is going to continuously and still fall for those business practices that these gaming companies are doing. But a lot of these consumers is still are still too blind to see how much are they getting their wallet raped, and they still going to continuously and fall for it. And at the same time, they're going to continuously and still do shady business practices. And like I say, the sad part about this thing is the gaming industry is booming a lot more than they ever had. And, you know, as time goes, you know, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. But anyway, guys, y'all just let me know how y'all feel about these remasters that we get these days. Do you think they are actually true remasters, or do you actually want games that's at least 10 years older, or, you know, games from back in you know, Sega Genesis era, Nintendo 64, or the original PlayStation? You know, y'all just let me know how y'all feel about that, feel about this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and share my video. And once again, this is your boy ReGamer27, and y'all have a good day.